Hi, everybody. This is Rob.
This is Brian.
And welcome back to our, this is actually just our second podcast now.
You survived our first one. How dare you?
I did not dare, dude.
Okay.
Hey, thank God they're there.
All right. All right.
Yeah, so for those unfamiliar, or, if you, for whatever reason, didn't listen to the first one, good on you, and I don't know why you're starting with two, but okay.
Okay.
But for those who don't know, Mendo and I here, we just like to have a few drinks and talk about whatever's on our mind or whatever happens to pop into our mind, whether it be comic books, movies, video games, music,
things that make you think.
professional wrestling from the 90s.
Exactly.
And just life in general. These are things that we discuss on a regular basis, and we figured, let's go ahead and just record some of these conversations as we continue to get drunk.
Clearly.
Somebody's going to listen to them. Clearly you are. Awesome. Thank you for joining us.
And cheers to you, honey. That's all
All
I'm
right,
saying.
and here we go. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's not a good choice for me to break. Strawberry rum and Coke. Bad combo, bro.
Where the hell did you get strawberry rum from?
I don't freaking know.
I don't even think we have strawberry rum.
Or was it Smirnoff or whatever the hell it was?
I don't...
It was Smirnoff. Okay, that's vodka because I have no
Yeah,
booze.
I don't think we have strawberry. Do we have strawberry?
No, wait, it was the Bacardi, I think it was.
I think you're lying to me.
I think you're full of shit.
That is dragonberry, my friend. That is dragonberry. No, not strawberry. Strawberry is a completely different thing.
I'm sorry, I'm not drunk yet.
I don't know. You're confusing dragonberry with strawberry. You might be.
I'm not just drunk. I'm just from Buffalo. There's a difference. So, anyway, I know Rob mentioned my name being Mendo, and it's pretty much been over 10 or getting close to 10, 15 years from him saying it, and I thought that was an insult because Mendo. It's just like, are you gay? And it's like, no. At the time I wasn't, but then it occurred to me, it's like, he's been ragging on me for years. Because it's like, just switch the first two words of my name. Mendo, are you gay? What do? You do man. What the hell?
That was never the intent.
I know. I'm just saying.
It's a play on his last name, and that's all that it is.
You can't say the word "la." It's like, hey, la, how you doing? It doesn't make sense.
Well, right. It rolled, it fit. And it just kind of, just simplified everything. I knew like 1,000 Brians. It was just easier to start simplifying.
Just say, and I'm glad it stuck because think about it, like men do a lot of things from driving people around to paying bills to even dealing with women. It's a chore, yet someone's got to do it. So what are you gonna do? Hey, I'm just saying. You put up with it. I don't put up with shit. I absolutely love the woman I'm with, but whatever. I'm just saying. Well, it took a while to find that. You kiss a lot of frogs before you find that little princess. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely, but that's what it is.
I was reading Alex and Ada the other day, and it occurred.
I love that series. For those unfamiliar, it's a comic book series by one of my favorite artists, writers. Actually, a couple of my favorite writers, and they're just a phenomenal series about this guy who ends up getting essentially a sex bot from his grandmother, for a gift, and they're not just used for that. They're used for all sorts of things. Then they're nearly sentient robots that look humanoid, and then I guess as it progresses, they start to unlock them and give them free will and things like that.
Yeah,
it's a really cool series. If you haven't read it, I suggest picking it up. Alex and Ada, well written, well drawn. It's great head to toe. Give it a look into. But
I was saying that because I kind of like the third. I always call it third party stuff because it's pretty much. The comic world has been dominated by DC and Marvel and Dark Horse, but this whole series, I wasn't big into comics. I was when I was a kid, and then life happened, and then he's just like, I'm reading these comic books. I'm like, well, how'd you read comic books? And then I'm reading Alex and Ada. I'm like, holy crap, it's pretty good. It's not. It just has like kind of adult themes and that kind of stuff, and it's really good. But my question is, and barring the fact that it's with other superheroes and other comics in general, like what would be like the best superpower that you would have? Like, because there's like so many people, there's so many comic.
It's weird that you got superpowers out of Alex and Ada.
It's just like, oh, it could go like the intelligent design thing, and there's artificial intelligence, that kind of thing. But that would be for a sober conversation. I'm kind of drinking right now, but if you had to pick like a superpower or just like what would it be? Because you have like there's telekinesis, there's invisibility, and there's like shapeshifting and X, Y, and Z.
There's so many, and there's so many things that you can do. There's so, like I know in the comic book world, there's just so much out there, and there are so many people with so many powers in the comic book world that it's crazy to fathom that you could literally do anything if you had superpowers. You could be given any superpower imaginable ever. So to narrow it down is pretty.
Like, would you like your superpower to be like, how Iron Man's got money, he puts on a suit?
That's not a superpower. That's being rich.
Or a guy who just like
that's something I could accomplish in my lifetime. I'm probably not going to be that rich, but that's something Iron Man, Batman. Those are things that any fucking person could do given the proper resources. That can happen.
Or put on a ring and all of a sudden
a superpower is completely different.
All right. So you want like or just like any. Couldn't a superpower come from anything? Because you'll wear a ring, and you can do this stupid crazy shit. You can fly, you can move walls and shit. Or then there's also mutations. Because
mutations are
there's mutations, or you can be something physical.
You know me. I'm an X-Men fan through and through, and I'm a purist when it comes to comic books. I love the powers that people gain. You know what I mean? You get them via accident, and you do good things with them. Whether it be mutation or whatever. In most cases, it's a mutation. Even when you go back as far as Spider-Man, he got bit by a radioactive spider, and that's how he got his powers. But really, one could argue that that's a mutation. He was bit by a spider. His genes were mutated.
And then over time, and eventually one day he's walking the street, and then... There you go.
It's not even over time. He got bit, and like the next fucking day, he had the powers. But one could argue that is a mutation. That's a mutation of your genes.
Okay.
Spider-Man is a mutant.
All right.
Just plain and simple.
Fair.
From my point of view, I'm not the hugest of Spider-Man fans. I'm still an X-Men fan, like I said, through and through. I love pretty much all of the X-Men.
There's got to be at least one or two of them that you're like,
there's plenty that I just don't care for, but that doesn't mean I don't love the concept, But if I had to pick,
pick a super,
if I had a superpower and I got to pick it,
yes,
which never happens, but if that were the case,
I was like, I'm gonna make you.
I'd have to go with the ability to fly. But if you're gonna fly, you don't do it all pansy-like. With I jump really far and then I fly. No. You got wings. You gotta have wings, like the full archangel fucking wings. That's how I want to fly. If I'm gonna mutate to be able to fly, that's how I want it. But if I couldn't fly, and this is a power actually that I dream about having, like literally dream about.
Yeah.
I have dreams regularly, and I don't usually remember my dreams, but these dreams I remember. I have dreams regularly about this. While I sleep at night, it's a dream of like I get into some situation or something, blah 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 blah. People are like, it's a dream, so people end up chasing you half the time for whatever the fuck reason. Or you got to get out of a situation or whatever. And the way I usually get out of it in my dreams is and it's almost like flying, but it's not. I jump. And I jump stupid far and stupid high, like ridiculously high, like a couple of stories high. And I'm jumping, and then as I'm coming back down, I float back down to earth.
Okay.
Like, I jump, and then there's, like, this pause time, and then I float back down. I don't know why.
Okay.
It always seemed really... It's literally what I dream of, and so that's what I would have to imagine I would want. You know what I mean? Clearly, my psyche and body is telling me that that's what you want to do.
All right.
you want to suspend yourself in air and then float back down to earth. That's what you want to do. So,
okay,
that would be my thing.
I think mine would be like, for me, I've hated death, and it's just like, it was like, if death wasn't a part of it, I would just not have it and be along with it. But I would probably say the power of resurgence, like try to bring someone either back from the dead, or just like trying to remove pain, or trying to remove something.
I gotta tell you, man, I would never want that. I would never want that. It frightens the shit. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Why would you want to bring somebody back? Because first, I mean, there's the moral question of it. You know, I mean, whether your theology allows it or not, you know, in your mind, there's something wrong with bringing somebody back that is supposed to be gone. You know what I mean? Like, some people, when they go, it's just their time. Let them go. You know, you don't know if bringing them back is going to torture them in some way, or shape, or form. You know what I mean? Like, there are some people that are just ready to go. Let them go.
Okay.
And then barring that, then you got to look at the almost butterfly effect of it all. If that person doesn't die, what the shit happens after that? Like
I'm not going to revive Hitler or anything like that.
Well, no, but something terrible might happen. I mean, whether it be a great person in your life or not, something terrible might happen because they're still alive when they should have been gone. You know,
it's
fucking with time like that, and people's time on this planet. Fucking with time like that would scare the shit out of me. I wouldn't want that responsibility. It seems like a deep responsibility that could forever change the entire course of the world. You don't know. You don't know, because yes, the person you save, that's not Hitler. You're not bringing Hitler back. No. But what if that person that you saved, that let's just say you save a 5-year-old child from a car accident, they're basically dead in your arms. You bring them back.
Yeah.
Great, you saved a 5-year-old kid.
Yeah.
What if that kid's Hitler, the next Hitler?
You never know.
You know, and he was meant to die that day. You don't know. Exactly. You don't know. Well, that's the thing. You don't know. So why are you fucking with things you don't know?
Touche. Well, my other one's like, it could have been like immortality, but then again, it's like you don't die, but you see everyone else die. It's just like, okay, so you're pretty much like Doctor Who. You can't die. You're just pretty much you're always changing, always evolving. Well, that's what mankind should do.
At least with Doctor Who,
help me out here.
You know, he keeps coming back as something new, and he remembers all of the things from his past, but nothing's quite the same. He's a different person, but he's not at the same time. I could get behind that because it's still new experience that every time you do it. But just straight living through everything sounds like a nightmare more than it is a blessing. You know what I mean? It sounds way more like a curse.
All right. Do you think that you? And I may have asked this like before, maybe on the last cast, but like in general, but like, do you think that you were born in the wrong time? Like, would it have been better if you were born in the Roaring '20s, the Great Depression, or just some other country in general?
Well, I've thought about that. I would love to tell you that I would have loved to have been born in the 20s or the 40s, or and maybe not the 40s. There was a lot of wars going on.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Or the 50s or something like that. Like a time frame where gentlemen were gentlemen, that kind of thing. Yeah. So maybe not the 50s. The 50s gentlemen were douchebags.
No, compared to our generation, come on.
But like the they were terrible back then. Like the 20s or the early 19-teens or something like that, like that kind of time frame. I would love to tell you that I would have liked to have been born then and I would have fit in, and I may have. My problem with those time frames, modern medicine sucked.
Yeah, it did.
And just hygiene and sanitary things were not a thing.
Yeah.
So, living in a time like that would scare the crap out of me.
Okay.
Knowing what I know today.
Yeah.
If I was born then, you wouldn't know any different anyway. So it is what it is. But knowing what I know now, going back to that time, I would have nothing to do with it. But
fair enough.
But being born in that time, nothing else. So
exactly.
I'm sure I would have fit in just fine. I'm sure I would have fit in just fine in any era that I was born in, because you're born into it.
Right.
And it's what it is. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just it's weird because it's the question: would you like to have been born there, or would you like to go live there now? Knowing what you know as a human being, would you like to go? Well, yeah, but even to some extent, when you go back, if you know what you know now, you're the fucking smartest man alive.
Yeah.
Back then.
Like, oh wait, it's like, hey, don't cross that bridge, or hey, you should shoot that man because he's about to create an empire that you don't want to be a part of. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, don't but then you worry about that time travel stuff, and how much do you mess up?
Exactly.
How much do you mess up? And if you're born, let's say you're born in the 80s like we were, and then you go back to like when the hell ever. Well, if you go back and you mess something up, you mess up your own birth, and then you die. Then you never existed. So
exactly. Listen, I'd love to have not have or like help stop Kurt Cobain from killing himself, or just like or help the people from the 27 Club to not do what they did. Like Amy Winehouse and so many superstars who just so happen to be part of the 27 Club, which is, in case for those people who don't know, 27 Club is the people who died at their 27th birthday through suicide. So
I don't call it a club. The club sounds like something.
Well, here's a reward benefits.
I refer to it as Forever 27.
Forever 27. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Touche.
That's it's terrible group of people to be in. You're in great company, but
because great singers, great entertainers, and just
it's weird though. It's weird that it's a thing.
Yeah,
right?
It's
and it could just be coincidence. It could. I mean, really could. But it really depends on how much you put on. How much stock you put into coincidence and stuff like that. I don't know.
And speaking of music, like who were your biggest musical influences? Like either growing up and it's a two-part. Like, what's your greatest musical influence growing up, and who do you think is like the next up and comer? Like, who do you think that you gravitate? That's roughly in our age bracket.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who's really. Well, I mean, I know who I grew up listening to, and I absolutely loved. You know me. Ozzy Osbourne was one of my first musical loves, and will be for forever. Whether it be Black Sabbath or Ozzy solo stuff, he influenced my life like none other. Everything I know about music stems from something that Ozzy did. But I also grew up listening to the greats. I listened to Elvis Presley. You know what I mean? And who doesn't grow up listening to the Beatles? Whether you knew it or not, you listen to the Beatles. And that's the thing. That I always found that to be the weirdest thing. I'm gonna go off on a little bit of a tangent here.
All right.
So many people like in the world that I've encountered and talked to and things like that. Like, people can tell you, it's like the first time I listened to the Beatles. It's, it was, and to me, I mean, maybe it's my age. Maybe it's that I'm not even 30 yet, and that it's just the time frame I grew up in. But it's like, what do you mean? It's like the first time you listen to the Beatles. First time I listened to the Beatles, I couldn't fucking tell you. The Beatles were just always there.
Yeah.
They were just always there. I knew Beatles songs before I knew they were Beatles songs. I knew them because they're there. They have been there for the past 40 years or more. Yeah. The Beatles have just been there. Can you tell me the first time you listened to the Beatles?
Oh my God,
no, because they've just always been there.
It's like the air you breathe. It's like the water you drink. It's just
you just know
and
the Beatles. You know them. So to me, it's always weird to hear somebody talk about the Beatles so reverently and go, yeah, you know, like the first time you hear the Beatles, it's the best thing. And it's like, no, the first time I heard the Beatles, I was, I don't know, 3 years old and thought nothing of it because, and then for then on ever, I just knew those songs.
Exactly.
I didn't even have to know they were the Beatles to know the songs. Yeah. And it's not like knowing that they were the Beatles changed the idea of knowing the songs. It didn't. No. It didn't change it at all. I know that the Beatles wrote these songs, and good on them. They're songs that have lasted forever, and they changed the music industry. Great.
Hey Jude,
but they're songs I've known my whole life.
Exactly. And I think it's just basically goes on just publicity and like the publicity manager, like it's like, oh, they're Beatles, like they're great musicians, like in their own right.
No. I mean, I'm not selling them short. I'm just saying I don't get. Well, I guess I do get it though too. I guess I do get it. I was gonna say I don't get the first time you hear them, it's going to blow your mind, and it's like, no, it's not, because I've heard them my whole life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do remember the first time I realized I was listening to The Who.
All right.
Listening to The Who changed my life. Hands down.
Over the Beatles.
Oh, absolutely. The first time I realized I was listening to the Beatles, I was maybe 8 years old, and I didn't give a shit.
Okay.
You know, they were just songs that I knew, and they were songs I grew up with. Yeah. The first time I realized I was listening to The Who, like the first time that I was like, The Who, you know what I mean?
Do you remember the first song that you were like?
Absolutely.
Well,
I mean, and again, being our age, you grow up, you know these songs. You know, like, Baba O'Reilly just indoctrinates our airwaves.
Yeah.
It's there. You know Baba O'Reilly. Maybe you don't know it's The Who, but you know Baba O'Reilly. You know the song. You probably don't even know it by Baba O'Reilly. You know it is Teenage Wasteland.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
But
it's that opening riff.
You know, so you know that song, and you know other Who songs, maybe you know Pinball Wizard or something like that. But the first Who song that I really listened to, you know, that I really heard, and then was like, well, I'm a Who fan. I need to hear everything from The Who.
All right.
Ever. And it's weird because it's a weird song.
Okay, talk to me.
Happy Jack by The Who was the first song that I listened to, and I went, holy shit, The Who. I need to hear everything these guys have ever done.
I actually remember the time you showed me the YouTube video on some other program. It was in black and white, like the time was. And it was just like, you just fell in love with the drummer. And it was like, listen to this drum pattern. It's like, it's so simple, but yet he's doing so many crazy things. And it's
no, the thing that blew me away, and I am a drummer for those who don't know, but the thing that blew me away about Keith Moon drumming Happy Jack for The Who was this: how ridiculous that drum line is. I mean, it's got its simple parts for sure. Like dum 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 dum, very simple parts, and then it hits like the chorus, and it's just like, and he goes nuts.
Fantastic.
Like just all out crazy, like you've never heard a drummer do. Like he just goes balls to the wall. But when you watch the video, while he's doing this, balls to the wall, some of the craziest drumming you've ever heard, he's just sitting there, like his arms are flailing like crazy, but his torso and his head, and he's barely moving, and he's got this fucking smile on his face. Just this smile. Like, yeah, I'm just having fun. And it's like, if I were to try to do that drum line, I would be concentrating so hard to try and get it right and move that fast.
3, 2, 1, next part.
And he thought nothing of it. Big smile on his face, like it was nothing. Like it was so epic to me at the time, especially being a new drummer at the time. It's when I had first started learning to play the drums, and I mean, I still love it, and it's still pretty complex. I could probably do it now if I really, really tried. I don't know that I could do it sitting there with that big smile on my face, but you know, I could probably do it. But you know, just listening to it for the first time And just seeing him sit there do it so effortlessly, without a care in the world, just effortlessly, blew my mind. That's what blew my mind about Happy Jack. And that's when I became a fan of The Who.
Fantastic.
That was it. That was it right there. So I get it if people are like, yeah, the first time I listened to the Beatles. But for me, the Beatles, they were just always there. The Who was a band I had to discover. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I had to discover The Who. You don't have to discover the Beatles. They're fucking everywhere. I had to discover The Who.
All right.
And maybe today's generation doesn't have to discover The Who because The Who's there too, you know. I mean, maybe
download on iTunes for $1.99.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I think that's a problem, though. You know, you don't have to discover anyone anymore. It's just all there.
Exactly.
It's just all there. I mean, is there music to change your life nowadays?
Because I think every single chord progression has been done like 10,000 times. It's just like how it's presented and what instruments been done.
Well, that's not what's in question. What's in question is how you do it and the passion you have behind it.
Yeah.
But do you discover music anymore?
I think you can discover talent. There's different ranges. Like there's different singers out there who can like pretty much belt out different things, but yet if I get that same singer to sing a different genre, it doesn't flow right. You know,
Well, that's always been the case. But do you discover music anymore, or is it just fucking regurgitated to you and like presented to you on social media?
New packaging.
Like, oh, here's this band, and here's this band. Like, they're just shoved in your face constantly. Even, like, little local bands and shit are just shoved in your face constantly on social media. And it's like, no, I want to go to... And they don't really fucking exist anymore. I want to go to a record store.
Yeah.
You know, when we were kids, it was a CD store.
That's right.
Before that, it was a record store. And now it's back to record store. I want to go to a record store and like discover something, find something that nobody else has heard and listen to it.
Exactly.
And you don't have that anymore. What you have is you're just shoved all of the music, and you don't know how to sift through and find the good stuff anymore. Nobody knows how to sift through and find the good stuff.
And I think with us, it's like it started with like the whole boy band craze, and everyone knew like the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, 98 Degrees, and those are the top three. And then with female singers, you got Britney, you had Mandy Moore, Jessica Simpson.
I didn't even mind that because you still had to go to a CD store, pick up their new album, and maybe you found like people heard about like 98 Degrees because they were looking at the Backstreet Boys and somebody was like, hey, check these guys out. Exactly. It wasn't just shoved in your face. You know?
I kind of see it a little bit differently because it's just like for me, unlike Rob, like I listened to, like my influences were completely different in that, you know, I listened to like, you know, Frank Sinatra, Rat Pack and that kind of stuff. And also like my first actual cassette tape was Michael Jackson's Thriller album. I won't call it album, let's cassette tape. And my first CD was Janet Jackson's self-titled album, and I didn't realize how sexual that woman was because she said some passionate lyrics. And I'm just like singing in there, like it's how, you know, like that's the way love goes, and if and just like I'm like singing, I'm like belting, like if I was your girl, I would make you love to you. I'm like thinking, and this is like when I was like 7 or 8. Like I knew what love was. Like
you didn't know what you were saying, but you knew you knew the song.
Yeah, like, you know, like Chumbawamba's like tub thumping, like pissing the night away. I'm just like I'm thinking this, and my friends like, what the fuck? Like friends are like, what are you saying? I'm singing this song, and I probably just like, oh my god. But it's like I grew up in a completely like different sector, and then you know how we became like friends with based on that, because like I grew up on like the soul and R&B stuff. Like now, like I think like the new hot comers of our time, as far as I believe it's been Rihanna and Bruno Mars. Like Bruno Mars is kind of bringing that Motown soul back into play because he did back-to-back Super Bowl, and he was absolutely phenomenal and fantastic. He did it with Beyonce last year. The year before that was with Red Hot Chili Peppers, which unfortunately Red Hot Chili Peppers kind of phoned it in that they did to a backing track, which I found out, and I was
well. I mean, to be fair, everyone since like the mid 80s to be on a Super Bowl does it to a backing track. That's not on them. That's on how they want it done. And I from a guy who has music background and recording background, things like that, I get it.
Yeah.
When you're looking at that huge of a stage, when you're looking at that huge of a market and that huge of a thing, you don't want to risk somebody flubbing a note. You don't want to risk somebody missing a step.
I give you
like
yeah.
Like let them do it to a backing track because.
But Mike,
that's the you're gonna get the clearest, cleanest, sense of it, and let them just give their performance. And until
Mike gives out like three or four Super Bowls ago when it was the Black Eyed Peas, and half the crew was just like, oh, by the way, we're doing this, but you can't really hear them because they were trying to. And then all of a sudden, Fergie tried to do Axl Rose. Really, seriously, come on.
But that's the nature of the beast, I suppose.
I don't know. It's like I see Bruno Mars. I'm just like he just puts me in that mood. It's just like
that's good, man.
He just puts me in that. Like,
music should do that. Music should affect you in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly. It's just like
if you're listening to music and it has no effect on you, you have no response to it. You're listening to the wrong music.
And with me, I've gone to a music college. I haven't gone to a recording arts college like you, but me, right now, when I went to Villa Maria, I just went and discovered like different styles of music from Gregorian chants to pop and rap and hip hop, R&B, country, and all these different styles. And like I appreciate most styles. It's just like I understand like the craftsmanship, like I'm talking about woodworking, like the talent that goes behind it, and then just it.
Oh, absolutely.
I wouldn't mind going to see Pavarotti and just like going to hearing Italian arias and operas and that kind of thing like that.
Those kind of dudes got some talent,
It's just like, and I was having a conversation with one of our friends, and I said like I wouldn't mind listening, training to do opera stuff, and they're like, no, you should really like rock is the main thing. You should really because rock takes real talent. I'm like, have you listened to an opera? Have you seen them belt out? High, just the highest notes to the lowest notes, and then just with ease and just pronouncing, even if it's in a different language. Like listen to like a Italian aria, which I know I mentioned a couple of times because I actually did one for college, and it's like, oh, you're gonna do this. I'm like, I've never done this crap in my life, and then the whole time I was working on the song, I started getting more appreciation for it, and I think this song was called Come Raggio di Sol, which is. I forget. I'm blanking on what it meant, but if you do get a chance to look at it, was a beautiful song. And then it just it blossomed into like different styles. And then when I met you were like, "Oh, I want you to try to know that we're doing a band. I want you to try to listen to this band called Slipknot." I'm like, "Slip who?" And you looked at me like I had like 10 heads. I was like, "Okay, help me out here." So, and then eventually my first rock concert I've been to was with Static X. Albeit for the Message, which they're pretty much done, and El Nino.
Well, we were in the Static X is done too.
Well, okay, yes,
when
Static, yes, sir. And that was a pause break for drinking, but we were in the front row at the time, and Albeit for the Message took the stage, and I was just rocking out, and then the lead singer from Roby was like, "This guy's having a good time, isn't he?" I'm like, "Yeah, buddy." And then El Nino took the stage, and I was just like, okay, this is a different style of music because they had congos and djembes and just all this other crazy stuff going on.
I love El Nino. El Nino, they just brought it.
And they have album after album, even after Revolution.
Oh, yeah. Let's be fair though. Their best album is still Revolution. Personally speaking, I love that album.
One Nation Underground got a little bit more instrumental.
Yeah, I like One Nation.
Enigma was getting a little bit different, and then after that, I think it trailed off. I didn't get the last couple records, but from if you're looking for good...
One Nation, you know what though? One Nation Underground still it's one of those albums that. And for everyone else, it could be any other album, honestly. But for me, it hits that core, those notes in my soul.
Yeah.
That brings me back to a certain time of life.
Oh yeah.
El Nino's One Nation Underground takes me back to what was it? Junior year of high school.
Yeah.
Maybe senior, something like junior year of high school.
Like 04 or 05?
No, senior year of high school. Brings me back to senior year of high school, and it just it hits the nostalgia button.
Oh yeah.
You listen to that album, and for me at least, it hits that nostalgia button, and I'm there. I'm back there, just living it. Because, I mean, it was a great album for the time. Like, for the time,
It was.
It's everything you wanted. You know, at least at the age we were listening to the songs that they had wrote for that album, it just, everything worked.
Yeah.
Everything worked on that album, and I still hear it and I'm taken away. I
love it.
I absolutely love it. I don't know if you get the same thing.
I do. And I remember, like, I was actually kind of baptized a second when that bass player, I think it was Laz or something, like, forgot his name. Like, he walked up to the front of the stage, put his foot practically on my head at one point, knocks my glasses off with the tail end of his bass, and they're flying out. I'm like, you son of a...
Didn't I catch those for you?
I somehow, with the magic of... It was like, you know, and clubs are usually like kind of dark as hell. I was like thinking, how the hell did you grab those? Like, here you go. I'm like, okay, that's the best thing in my life. And then after that, Static X took the drum, and then Wayne Static it's just that tall Frankenstein looking hair, and just like, he's just like playing and playing and playing song after song, track after track after track, having these iron benches up around. He's standing on those things.
Wayne could tear it. Oh,
and he wasn't one of those guitarists that would move around the stage, because there's a difference between singers and entertainers.
He basically stood there and yelled at the mic.
I'm gonna be doing this for about an hour and a half. I'm gonna be doing song after song. I like it, great. We're gonna do some shots. You want to do some shots? Let's do some shots. Let's do this. And it will be like, there's Static X. Their songs is roughly about 2 to maybe 4 minutes, but the short tracks I kind of liked. There's I'm Was Stupid, and the Wisconsin Death Trip, and then So and Cold, and then he did the Pick Everything.
Wisconsin Death Trip. That sounds awesome.
And then
that album was great.
Oh my god! And then, like, the crowd is like opening up and doing. I didn't know what a circle pit was or what moshing was.
As far as musical influence, I mean, we covered a bunch of them. I mean, I love the Who. Ozzy Osbourne, anything Ozzy Osbourne's ever fucking touched, for me personally. I'm not saying that Ozzy's the end all be all. I'm saying that for me, he is, because that's what I grew up on.
Me with Stevie Wonder, Janet Jackson, Frank Sinatra, like, and I just have this wide group, and like and every day, every night, I listen to music as I go to sleep. Doesn't matter like what it is. It could be Meghan Trainor, Bruno Mars, it could be Slipknot, it could be 311, it could be whatever. And it's just, and the latest artist I'm listening to now is Leela James. And for those who don't know, Leela James was one of those artists that it has like that it voice. It's just, she's fantastic, talented, and just has those notes. And I think eventually I would love to have my wedding song to be crap, I forgot the name of the song. One Last Fall for You by Leela James, and it's just like, it's all just her and piano, and it just pretty much expresses my love for Michael. And it's just, and it goes step after step. I'll take one more step till I get to you, and it's absolutely just dynamite song. So if you didn't get a chance to YouTube it today, please do it, because it's an absolutely lovely song. So
hey, no, that's good. I mean,
yeah. And I know you got your little wedding coming up soon. Do you have your wedding song picked out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know I do. It's Alice Cooper's "You and Me." Yeah, it's Alice Cooper. What of it? Shut up. No, it's a great song. It's a beautiful song. I think, at least, and it really just kind of defines our relationship. I mean, it's about a guy who's just a working class guy, just a regular dude who just loves the person he's with, I thought
it would have been Journey's "Don't Stop Believing."
No. I mean, that'll be
just a small town girl.
That'll be played at the wedding, but it's
not
our song. But
10 shots of whiskey in for me, 10 beers for you. Having the Linus package from How I Met Your Mother. Thank you, Linus. This drink does not get empty. If it does, I'll be very unhappy.
Oh no, I already have that.
Yeah, you have a guy. You have a guy.
I got a guy. I got a guy. We actually, Rachel and I both have a guy. That if they see our drinks empty at any point at least during the cocktail hour, I don't know if they're going to follow us through the whole wedding, but at least during the cocktail hour, if they see our drinks empty, they're going to bring us a brand new drink. Yes. And then they know they already have it written down that they know what we're drinking, and that's it. And we're gonna keep getting.
You're not going to switch it up. You're just gonna.
At least through the cocktail hour, because I'm not going to have time to make a decision during cocktail hour. It's going to be, here you are, Now go say hi to absolutely everyone because it's going to be this fucking
let's try the glass 50 million times
nightmare during the cocktail hour, and it's just going to be like run around and say hello to absolutely everybody because you're not going to do it once you hit the table.
Come on, kiss. You're going to hear that like every 2 seconds. You're like,
no.
Oh, you're like you can't escape that, man. You are not going to escape that, man. Come on now.
We're not going to fucking cater to it. But yeah, so I mean, during the cocktail hour, I got a guy. We've hired people to literally bring us drinks the entire night that know what we're drinking. That's just a thing. And if you're getting married anytime soon, I suggest doing that. That's just it's a wise decision. But with that, so I think that's it for us tonight.
Yeah, it is.
All right, I'm Rob.
I'm Mendo.
All right, thanks for listening again. Thanks for tuning in. This was a great second podcast for us.
Definitely. Can we end up with that one toast that we usually do?
If you'd like.
Sure. Goes here's to me.
Here's to you.
Here's to love and laughter.
I'll be true so long as you and not a moment after.
Cheers, y'all. Good night.
Cheers.